Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I'm Bill McMinn. Along with me is Adam Page, both pastors at Eagle Bible Church, and talking about it's Mother's Day coming up on Sunday. So, we'd be remiss if we didn't remember moms. And actually, I came into this week and I was going to preach on a whole different topic. And then I realized, man, it's Mother's Day. I got to preach something that honors moms. So we're looking forward to doing that on Sunday, actually. But here's a question, just to start off. Should a wife be treated as special by her husband on Mother's Day? Because we often hear this, ain't my mother.
You're not my mother.
You don't need to do anything for your wife. You ain't my mother on Mother's Day. Well, she's a woman and perhaps the mother of your children. If you have children, I would say, it always makes me laugh because you think that 1-year-old's going to actually go out and buy mom a present on Mother's Day. Well, if the 1-year-old didn't do it, just too bad. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's ridiculous that they only get treated special on one day.
Right.
If this is your wife you're talking about, she should be treated like special all the time.
Yeah, but what do you think about the Mother's Day, though? I'm not going to do anything for my wife on Mother's Day because she's not my mother. I only do something for my mother. I don't do anything for my wife on Mother's Day.
I think that's setting a poor example for your kids, right, of how much you love your wife. Your wife and you decided to have children, or you adopted kids or whatever it may be, and the kid can't afford to go out and buy stuff.
Right.
So, obviously the dad has to go with them, and I think it's a project that you can show your kids just this is how much we love mom. We're going to honor her.
Right.
And we're going to do that to set it up.
Honestly, I'll call my mom on Mother's Day, but I'll buy my wife a gift on Mother's Day. I always get her something for Mother's Day. She's not my mom. She's the mother of my kids. So I always do something for her. And I wouldn't even think about it. I bought her a grill. I bought her trees and planted the yard for her or whatever.
Yeah.
This seems appropriate on Mother's Day to do for her. I'll say, hey, what do you want? What do you want to happen on this day? What do you want to do? It's a special day for you. I don't think, time out, Jerry. My wife's name, in case you don't know that. Time out, Jerry. I need to spend time with my mother because you're not that important on Mother's Day. So let the kids do it. And by the way, my daughter came. I thought this was really awesome. My daughter came today because she works all weekend. Yeah. So she's worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour shifts. So her work schedule's like crazy.
Yeah.
So she goes, I can't be there for Mother's Day. She brought my wife a special present ahead of Mother's Day on Thursday. Nice. And it said her name on a Yeti. Now, who doesn't like to get a Yeti? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A Yeti tumbler with a lid with a magnetic flip thing to keep the heat or cooling, whatever you're doing. And it said on the other side, I love you, Mom. Now, just for parents out there, we didn't always, sometimes our relationship with Cass could be, described as tumultuous, distant. There were times I heard a lot of complaints from her about, I think about her mom. And then to see it today as she's growing up she calls her mom every day, talks to her all the time, sends that nice mug. I love you, Mom. So sometimes parents, you might get discouraged. Your kid's a teen or what have you, maybe even in their young 20s. And you wonder, is this kid ever going to appreciate what I do for me?
Yeah.
Yes, the day is coming. All right. They do things do change around. It just takes patience. That's all.
I think it has to do with communication with your wife, too. One of the things, it didn't really bother my wife, but I know it bothers others to go to their mother-in-law's house or always have it be celebrated about somebody else.
Right.
Or go to grandma's house and have grandma cook. That I always thought, in talking to my wife, it'd be important for my wife and I and our kids to go out to lunch or go out to dinner. That way she doesn't have to cook, or I cook, either way. But giving her that restful day off to really honor her,
right?
And her alone.
No, I agree. I think probably Mother's Day has got to be one of the biggest days for restaurants of the year. I don't know that. I'm not a restaurateur, but I really think that's true. And certainly people calling their moms, phones or lines are heating up when it comes on Mother's Day because everyone's calling their mom, which I think is great. But it says in the Bible that we're to honor. It's one of the 10 Commandments, honor your mother and father. The word honor means heavy, weighty. It means to treat them with significance. So the word honor initially meant something that's just big, significant, heavy. And so not a heavy like a bad thing, but a heavy like it became a person who's a heavy, a person who's significant. And so when you think about our society, who do we treat as being those people of significance?
Yeah, I think, like I said, movie stars, different people. I think social media influencers now.
Okay.
People that are on there that you're following. Different vlogs, like YouTubers. I hear that from kids all the time. Athletes. I think there's all kinds of different ones that people are really looking up to and they're following on a day-by-day basis now. It's not like your weekly TV show that you have to sit down and watch, but these people are putting out content every day, all the time, and you're watching their daily lives. And sometimes that's hard. It's kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, to see these people who have everything, and you're trying to get to have.
And they're weighty. They're the weighty people, the celebrities. And see, if that person would come to your house and they would say, well, if a movie star, a rock star would come to the house of a teenager, someone they really looked up to, and said, hey, could you take the trash out? Bam, that kid be gone. Can you pick this up? Boom. Can you carry my bags? Oh yeah. Because all of a sudden it's the movie star, it's the rock star, it's the athlete, it's your favorite athlete. They're asking you to do something. You be all about it. Then mom asks you to do it. Mom, why do I have to do it? It's like, that's not treating her like a celebrity. That's not giving her heavy status. That's treating her like she's not that significant or not that important. And we have to shift the way that we think about our moms and also our wives. And to be honest, when I was growing up, I don't think I had any real concept of honoring my mother. That wasn't something that went through my brain. My brain was all about, no, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What can you get away with? Mom, you're not going to tell me what to do. It was more stuff like that. I'm sure, raising me and 3 others a lot like me was probably pretty difficult, actually.
Your mom deserves an award.
She deserves an award. I think so. And so, but we want to treat them as a, celebrity. I think when you honor your moms, I think one of the things I have down, you might as well throw it in there right now. I think just showing them appreciation.
Yeah.
I think just letting them know that what they did mattered. My mom, she writes me every day and she'll say happy, whatever day it is, whatever the weather's going on. If it's rainy, sunny, cloudy, foggy, hot, cold, whatever. She's going to mention, hey, happy sunny Friday, happy rainy Saturday, happy cloudy Sunday, whatever it is, whatever's the weather, it's happy, whatever the weather is in the day. That's every day we get this text. And I know the day I don't get that text, I better call 911 and send them out there, dispatch them to see what happened to mom, because every day I get it. My wife gets it. I think the grandkids get it. Like everyone gets this text every single day from my mom at some point in the morning, whether it's 7:30 in the morning or 9:30 in the morning at some point. And then if I look like, did my mom write me today? Then I start getting worried about it later on. I have to go check and oh yeah, she did. I just didn't see it. Yeah, she did. And then I'll try to write her back and say something. But it's something at first we were like, well, that's interesting. But I think we've come to appreciate it,
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that I've learned having children that are still young is when I talk about my wife to my kids, that it needs to be in an appreciative way.
Yeah. It
needs to be, this is, if she says it, that's what goes. And I think as you set that example as the husband, as the father, and the kids begin to look at the mom a little bit differently.
Right.
Begin to say, like if dad just kind of stomps all over mom or trashes her, then that's an easy way for the kids to do the exact same thing.
Right.
Mom's value goes down. But as her value goes up, as you communicate, as you talk to these kids, the kids, I think, begin to appreciate mom even more.
Right.
And begin to show, hey, you can't disrespect mom. Like you get the same punishment if you disrespect me. And so I think the kids will begin to, appreciate their mom. And, I don't think they really realize it. They say kind of the kids, as they get older, 12 to 13, 12 to 17, they really don't want anything to do with mom. And then they go to college and they just want money or food. And then when they graduate, they're still trying to figure out their own life. But when they get into their 30s, they're texting mom like all the time,
Right.
Mom, where are you? I need help. How do I deal with my children?
Right.
How do I cook this meal? How do I balance life? And it comes around to the time where you're going to be really involved in wanting to have your mom's opinion about everything.
Right. No, I think that's a great thing. I think it depends on probably the mom, but I do agree that there comes a time. For us, when our kids were teenagers, like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, they're always asking us, what are we doing Friday night? Before they would make plans anywhere else. We were pretty tight as a family. I would say it really depends. Sometimes the shift comes where they're a little more cold. Maybe they go to college. Even my daughter with me, there were times where I would call her, Dad, you don't need to call me, every other day to check up on me. I'm fine. I said, well, I'll tell you what. And I missed her dearly. I said, you call me. When you need me, just call me. I might hear from her every 2 or 3 weeks. And that was something, okay. You know, I mean, whatever you need. Now I see her more and talk to her more now than then, but I always knew at the end of the day, you're going to win. And as a mom, you need to know at the end of the day, you're going to win, no matter what those kids are saying, whatever the attitude. And even when teenagers are acting like they don't need their parents, they still do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that I have found out. A lot of times parents kind of get lulled into a slumber with that because the kids act like they don't need guidance or they don't want guidance or they don't want to listen when actually they really do, no matter what they say. So the parents still staying in there and being a parent and parenting, I think, is a super important concept. But I agree with what you said initially. If you say words of appreciation to your spouse, your kids are gonna follow suit.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do for your children is to love their mother. That's the top thing a husband can do. What can I do to help my kids? Love their mom. That's what you can do. That gives security and stability, and I think it's a great thing. But when I think about other, ways to honor mom, I think listening. I think treating them and their opinions as something, no, it's an intelligent person. I need to listen to her. And as a child listening to your mom, I think as a husband listening to your wife and respecting what she has to say. If there's something bothering her, maybe quit doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, taking care of, half of the house, you live there, what you're doing. And I don't know if you've heard this one, but when husbands say, I have to babysit my kids tonight. And my wife is always quick to remind me, you're not babysitting, they're your kids.
Right, I agree.
But, as she goes out and she has a night, where she can do what she would like to do, men should be able to have that too, where they're just with their kids and taking care of them. I know many men that, have said they've never had the kids alone with just them before.
Right.
And it scares them. I thought I couldn't believe that because, hey, your wife needs to get out. She needs to be honored as a mom and have friends that are just outside the family to be able to enjoy that. And I think that's part of the husband and listening and really showing initiative.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever do that. I mean, sometimes, of course, I'd be out at meetings. Sometimes, my wife would have to go do something, whether it was a praise team practice or something else. But honestly, I don't think it's the guy who should be scared when you're watching the kids. I think it's the mom should be scared when dad's watching the kids because dads can only keep track of one thing. You're going to watch Cassie. I remember she's little, like 2 or 3 years old. You're going to watch her? Yeah. You sure you're going to watch her? Yeah, I'm going to watch her. Next thing you know, she's 2 houses down. I'm playing it because once I started working at Weeding, I forgot I even had a kid. You know what I mean? So because I can only do like one thing at a time. And that's one of the real weaknesses of guys. And so, yeah, I think it was mom needed to be worried about when dad had control of the kids because if dad got busy doing something else, I wouldn't even remember that I was supposed to be watching kids. So I appreciate moms and their ability actually to be able to do multiple things at one time. And they can be cooking, cleaning something, talking on the phone, and watching those kids at the same time. I might be able to do one or the other of those things at one time. They can do it all. So I think moms deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, one quick story of the way that my wife got really nervous about me watching the kids was when our youngest daughter was probably about 3 years old. I was watching her and her sisters, and I had to run upstairs for a couple of minutes to do something. When I came back downstairs, our youngest had cut 4.5 inches off of her hair. And half was long, half was. So you would have thought somebody really got hurt. My wife saw that, but we got it taken care of.
Right.
I learned, even at that age, they can't have any time really apart.
Right.
And, simple things like that,
well,
but
it
didn't scare me away from taking care of them.
When I was first married, I went and cut my own hair. I did it myself. It was just like a little child gets the scissors because I just pushed my front of my, kind of my bangs, if you call them that. They call them bangs on a guy, I guess. But anyway, I pushed it down because I was irritated with the way they cut it. And I just snip, and it popped up. It looked 100% ridiculous. My wife's like, are you a 4-year-old who just got a hold of a pair of scissors? Because that's what it looked like when I was done. It was we laughed about it for years. I mean, it's so funny. But anyway, I think picking up, showing initiative is one thing for kids, especially. Moms feel like they have to do everything. And, you feel like you're just, I know for a lot of moms, you feel like you just want to make a recording and just say the same thing. Whether it's get your elbows off the table, eat with your mouths closed, and you say it over and over again. Certain things, the moms will get frustrated because you ask the kids to take out the trash for the 10th time. They didn't do it. They didn't move. And then you just do it yourself, which, of course, that only trains them that, well, if I just ignore her, she'll do it.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, I was one with children, don't argue with your kids. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to yell at you. I would say, hey, I want you to take out the trash. It's not a conversation. I'm saying we're not having a conversation about this. This is what I expect you to do. When you get around to it, it's up to you. But I do expect it to get done. And that was it. I would walk away because I'm like, I'm not here to have a big conversation. I think sometimes like my wife would get caught up into that trap of, having to constantly explain it or what. I'm like, you don't have to explain it. You don't even have to raise your voice. Just tell them what you want to do. They start, I told you what I want you to do. Move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I think creating expectations too. I would encourage my wife about that with some of the children, especially when you want to help around the home. If you come in and your kid comes home after school and they've got, whether they have in their head they're going to relax or they have in their head they're going to do homework or whatever it is, if you need their help, they need to know it before they go to school. Like to create the expectation, and first thing in the morning, when you get home, I really need you to do this. When you get home, I need you to straighten your room. I need you to pick up your shoes. I need you to whatever it is. And I would tell her this all the time. Create the expectation ahead of time so they know what they're looking for, so they don't get home and they're tired from being in school and all of a sudden they feel like something just got dumped on them. Yeah. Then they're all kind of miserable about it. Just create the expectation early. And I think that was a thing. But still, whether the mom does or not, a kid in honoring their mother, a child, should not be giving the parent a hard time all the time.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that I've talked to young families about over and over again is routine with your kids, that they find enjoyment in the things always being the same, being predictable. Right. It's when life is unpredictable that scares them the most. And even for families that have gone through recently a separation or a divorce, try to get some kind of routine with them. Like you were saying, after school, you have the homework and then you have dinner, and then maybe it's bath time, then it's bedtime, but have a specific time for them. Hey, it fluctuates a couple of minutes, that's fine. But they need to have a bedtime routine. And so many parents, I encourage them, get the kids to bed early. Our kids go to bed at 7:30, and some people think that, wow, that's so young, that's so early. But you know what? They don't fall asleep till 9 o'clock. They get to talk to their sibling. But that gives my wife and I time to talk, the two of us, and have that adult conversation for her really to be honored and to be able to relax, and to help your wife to, finish up whatever it needs to be, whether it's putting the dishes away or loading the dishwasher or whatever it may be.
In my younger days of ministry, like the kids always went to bed late because if they didn't, I'd never see them because I was out so many nights doing ministry, being the only pastor here. And so I was out a lot. So I would tell my wife, no, keep them up because I want to see them and play with them before they go to bed. So they got in a routine of going to bed later. My buddy, we never had that like relationship where sometimes like we would go out, the two of us, but a lot of times we moved as one. Like we just went as a family everywhere we went. It always seemed to work. Yeah. I mean, her and I now, we love doing stuff together. But man, I'll tell you what, I've had kids. I got a kid 30 years old. It still seems like almost anything I do, the kids are always invited, which is fine with me. Usually if my wife and I are not going to go hiking, even with the kids being adults, without saying, hey, do you guys want to go? And so they would always have the welcome. That was true when they were little children. It was true when they were teens. It was always seemed like our family was just so connected. You know what I'm saying? That we just tended to do things together, which I think is fine too. And whatever works for your family, going to bed early. For me, it didn't work for us because I had so many evening responsibilities. So I wanted to see them. For you, it might work out a little bit better to have them go to bed earlier and you get to spend that time. But I think too, just serving, the mom, and my fear is moms get stuck with way too much work, and moms always make it easy for us to get in that sit back mode and to just let them, because they're so used to doing it. They want to do it. My wife does not want me doing a ton at the house. I will pick stuff up. I'll run a vacuum cleaner. I'll straighten things up. I don't mind doing that at all. But she doesn't really want me to. And I think they create this environment sometimes where they're such hard workers, our wives are, our moms are, that they can get you used to that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for her. And I think that we need to kick that mentality and say, no, I got to do for her too. And like you said, not just Mother's Day, all throughout, all the time. Yeah. Respect her all the time, not just on one day.
I think it's a part of it's appreciation for what they do, to be able to come home and, my wife's working in the, in the flower beds, hey, wow, that really looks good out there. Giving honest, encouragement, like, hey, thank you for making dinner tonight.
Right.
Or I really liked this one thing that you did.
Right.
I really appreciate it that I'm able to sit and relax at the evening.
Right.
And really showing your wife love in her love language so that she does feel honored, all the time, not just Mother's Day.
Now, I've heard guys say before, well, so-and-so, it's just my wife. It's just my wife that thinks that. And my attitude is to be, no, that's especially your wife. Your wife's the most important person in your life. Yeah. The husband-wife relationship is by far the most important relationship there is. It is the absolute priority above all other relationships. To me, when my wife says something, that has to be weight it way more than what anyone else says, because I'm just wired to please her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want her to be happy. I want to do a good job. I don't want to be someday when I die and everyone's like, about time. Good, we're all free. Wives are smart. I'm going to conclude with this, but Proverbs 31:16, she considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. And it's just showing the capabilities of the wife and the virtuous woman, how capable she really is. And hopefully we as guys are, honoring our wives for their capabilities. The children are respecting their moms for their capabilities and all that they do, whether they're a stay-at-home mom or whether they're a principal or a doctor or a nurse or whatever it is that the mom does. Appreciate it. We appreciate you tuning in and listening. Happy Mother's Day to all you awesome moms out there. You all have a great week.